If you want to start a YouTube channel for your podcast or you've been posting your podcast on YouTube with not a lot to show for it, this video is for you. I have seen many podcast creators with great content here on YouTube not getting the exposure and growth they deserve because they haven't learned how to package their episodes so they get views. But this won't be you because I will share the 5 most important things you should know if you're starting or growing your podcast on YouTube. We've grown our YouTube channel from 0 to more than 80,000 subscribers, and we're also in the process of growing our podcast audience here on YouTube for our podcast content jefe. I also work with clients to launch video podcasts and grow their audiences here on YouTube, and I can tell you relying only on distributing your podcast to Apple Podcasts and Spotify will not help you grow your audience. You need to have your podcast on a platform that will suggest your content to new people, not just your followers or subscribers. And YouTube can do that for you, but you need to know how to play the YouTube game. So let's get started with the first thing that you have to know. Automatic distribution of your audio-only episodes will not help you grow. If you want to start a YouTube channel for your podcast, there are 2 ways to share your podcast episodes. The first one is linking your podcast RSS feed to YouTube so you can automatically upload new episodes every time you release one, the same way you do with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. We have posted videos on our channel showing you how to set up your podcast RSS feed from your podcast host and inside your YouTube studio. When you share your RSS feed, your audio-only episodes are converted into videos with a static image of your podcast cover or episode art. The audio plays over the static image like an audiogram. Also, information like episode title and description gets transferred to YouTube via an RSS feed. Although having some presence is better than having none, this strategy won't really help you grow your audience here on YouTube. Remember, YouTube is all about video. That's the kind of content its users are looking for and what gets recommended. And sadly, static images with just audio don't do nearly as well. The other way to distribute your podcast to YouTube is to record a video podcast and upload the video to YouTube and distribute the audio to the podcast players. But dumping your video episodes to YouTube without learning about what makes people click on videos and how to keep them watching after they click is a waste of content, and it will clutter your channel with episodes that don't perform. Also, there are things you can do when you post your podcast that will make YouTube suggest your podcast to new audiences and have your content in front of new people, not just your subscribers. We work with clients one-on-one, helping them get into video podcasting, from setting up their studios and training them on how to record good quality video podcast, all the way to distribution and YouTube strategy. I also have a group coaching program where I work closely with a small group of students, helping them launch their podcast. For more information, go to podsoundschool.com. And the next most important thing to know if you're starting a channel is that titles and thumbnails are very important on YouTube. Let's talk about titles first. I have seen many podcasts on YouTube with titles that don't tell me anything about the episode. They have the episode number and sometimes the name of the guests who are being interviewed, but not what the episode is about. So let's illustrate this for a minute. Let's say that you are browsing through YouTube because you want to learn how you can grow your podcast audience. And you see this title, Episode 13, Interview with Veronica Davis. Who would click on this? Maybe my mom, because she knows me. Because it's an interview with some rando you haven't heard of, and I'm the rando. But if instead you see this title, Strategies to Grow Your Podcast Audience, then you will click on it because that's exactly what you're looking for. A good chunk of the time I spend planning my podcast episodes and videos goes to finding the right title. My research starts with TubeBuddy, which is a Google Chrome extension I use to find highly searched keywords for my niche. I also use TubeBuddy to find other creators who have made videos using the same keywords to see how those videos perform so I can give my title a spin or make it relevant for my audience. Doing this for your titles will help you increase your views immediately. Along with titles, thumbnails are also important if you want to grow on YouTube. We used to cram a bunch of words and images on our thumbnails, but now I'm opting for simplicity and adding fewer words to my thumbnails, no more than 5 words. You don't have to cram the entire title of your episode on your thumbnail. This is an opportunity for you to use words that will cause curiosity and people cannot resist clicking on your thumbnail. A good example of this is the Diary of a CEO podcast. If we look at the thumbnails, we will see that they all include phrases that make you want to click on the episode and find the answer or learn more. But if you're going to do this scandalous, clickbaity types of thumbnails, make sure that the episode delivers on the promise and that you're not just adding lies to your thumbnails so people click. No. Number 3, say goodbye to long-winded intros. Get to the point. After you have captured the attention of your viewers with your title and thumbnail and they click on the episode, the last thing you want to do is to spend 20 minutes on your intro. On YouTube, the first 30 to 60 seconds of your video will dictate whether it will be recommended to more YouTube users or not. If you lose more than 50% of your audience in the first 60 seconds of the video, YouTube takes this as a signal that your video is not good and will stop suggesting it to other people on YouTube. So if you have this long-winded intros introducing yourself, the podcast, and your guest, and all of her accolades, and then you get to the episode, this will hurt your audience retention and your views. So what I recommend is that you start with a question or a problem or the transformation that your audience will experience if they give you their time. For example, if you're interviewing a guest about habits that can improve their sleep, I want you to start the episode with, do you struggle going to sleep at night? Or sleep deprivation is the #1 cause of stress and heart disease in the US. Or sleep is a big struggle for me. Or at the end of this episode, you will have an action plan to improve your sleep significantly. In those first 60 seconds, I want you to convince the viewer or listener why they should spend their time listening to what you have to say or to what your guest has to say. I tell my clients all the time that in the first 60 seconds, I want them to sell me the episode, and that's what you're gonna do. YouTube will suggest your episodes to new audiences who know nothing about you or your podcast and are just interested in getting the information they want. Once you get them to click on your episode, if you don't give them what they want, they'll move on. But if you hook them into the episode and deliver on your promise, they will not only stay, but they will become a subscriber. You can also create a highlight reel for your episode and place it at the beginning of the episode. And this is something that your editor can do in post-production. The way it works is that your editor will take key moments in the episode and add dynamic transitions and animations to open up the story loop to get people curious and glued to the episode. Number 4, the lens is more important than the body. It is important to invest in quality equipment. It's an immediate way to associate your podcast and brand with quality without saying a word. While this investment can be pricey, professional video equipment has become more affordable for independent creators. Now, for only a few $1,000, you can own equipment that was reserved for world-class studios and production companies only a few years ago, and by the magic of Amazon, it can be shipped to your door. I'm not gonna make any jokes anymore if I don't get any validation. When it comes to getting a great camera setup, the lens is more important than the body in terms of picture quality. But hold on, Veronica. Body? Lens? What are you talking about? I'm not talking about this body. If you were having any ideas, it's not my body. It's the body of the camera. The thing that makes professional cameras stand out from smartphone cameras is the camera's lens. A professional camera lens is how you achieve that cinematic look with crisp details and a softly blurred background. Many camera bodies are sold by themselves and you can attach an assortment of lenses. It is all very complicated stuff and definitely worth educating yourself on. But don't worry, I'll hook you up with a quick takeaway. Spend more money on the lens than the body. Our top camera choices is any of the Sony DSLR cameras with any good Sony lens. For most creators, the all-around best type of lens or lens focal length will be the 35mm. That's the lens that I'm using right now for this video. Some creators use a 20mm lens when recording in a really tight space or when they want to be very close to the camera. Other creators use a 50mm lens for a more classic portrait look with an even more blurry background. Now, my top recommendation for those just starting with video podcasting is the Sony ZV-E10 and the Sony FE 35mm DM lens.
That was a mouthful.
And don't worry, you don't have to memorize all this. I will leave the link with a few different options of lenses for you in the description below. Pretty great takeaway, right? Do me a favor and give me a thumbs up in return. So please invest some money in your equipment. Don't skimp on this step. Your podcast deserves to look crisp, sharp, and cinematic. You will gain instant credibility and experience show growth much quicker when you purchase and use professional equipment properly. And number 5, audio matters more than video. You may argue on this point, but the reality is that nothing will turn a viewer away from a video quicker than bad audio. Let's test it.
Hi, I'm Veronica, and I'm here to teach you about YouTube.
What do you think? Would you stay? Podcasts are the type of content that I like to call audio first content, meaning it's assumed that podcasts are typically long form content where the audio is the first priority. Again, the concern here is not to go cheap on your gear. I'm all about the DIYing, getting creative with budget setups, or looking for a good deal. But professional audio equipment is mandatory if you want to grow quickly and establish an audience and reputation here on YouTube and on the podcast players. Not to mention, it gives your audience a wonderful listening experience, and you love your people, right? Don't you want to give them a delicious audio experience? Luckily, pro audio equipment has also become very affordable. In fact, the go-to professional setup that we purchase and set up for our clients only cost about $1,200 US, and that is for 2 microphones and a great audio interface. Purchasing professional audio equipment is the first step. The next step is to learn how to use it properly and capture great recordings. This is another deep subject that you will need to educate yourself on, but I'll give you some quick takeaways here. Ready? And I'm going to say this fast.
Our go-to microphone setup is the Shure SM7B with the SSL2 Plus USB audio interface. This setup requires only a mic stand and mic cable for each microphone.
Again, don't get all antsy. I will leave the links for this setup and the other options for you in the description below. And I know I'm sharing some awesome tips with you in this video. Make sure that you like it and then you share it with another creator. In addition to posting your video podcast here on YouTube, did you know that you can also post your video podcast on Spotify? We post our video podcast to Spotify too. This is a feature that Spotify made available for podcast creators over a year ago, and it surprises me that podcast creators are not uploading their video podcast to Spotify too. The process is super simple, and if you want to know more in this video, I illustrate how we post our video podcast content here to Spotify. So hurry, go check it out.